Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the presiding official, Lieutenant General John W. Raymond, Commander, Joint Functional Component for Space and Commander, 14th Air Force, Air Forces Strategic, and the men and women of Schriever Air Force Base, welcome to today's Change of Command ceremony for the 50th Space Wing. At today's ceremony, Col DeAnna M. Burt will assume command of the 50th Space Wing from Colonel William J. LaCorey, Jr. Colonel Burt served as Director, Commander's Action Group, Air Force Space Command, Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado. Colonel LaCorey will be leaving to assume the position of Senior Military Assistant to the Undersecretary of the Air Force, the Pentagon, Washington, D.C. The Commander of Troops is Colonel Stephen Slade, Individual Mobilization Augmentee to the 50th Space Wing Commander. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, the playing of honors by stellar brass, the posting of the colors by the High Frontier Honor Guard, the singing of the national anthem by Orbital Harmony, followed by an invocation from Chaplain Admonson.
Present, pause!
I invite you to pray with me. Almighty God, thank you for this day, a beautiful Colorado day. As we have been reminded by the rain which brings life around us, we are thankful to live another day in the adventure of life. We pause in these moments aware that we are participating in something significant, something with great import, that a change of command is an event that has implications in history not only for us who are gathered here, but also for our country. And so we pause to say, God, may this significant thing be for good. May people in the near future and far enjoy the benefits of this moment. As we have grown to know and appreciate the benefits of Colonel LeCurry's leadership these past 2 years, we thank you for how you gifted him to lead this outstanding team of airmen and civilians, how he took care of the mission but took care of us too. I pray you bless he and Amy as they move to D.C. May they experience the fullness of life. In the midst of hard work and long hours and continued service to our nation, may they find joy. Thank you for our new commander, Col DeAnna Burt. I pray that you give her an abundance of skill, knowledge, wisdom, and strength to be able to accomplish the mission and care for people. I pray you bless her and Lieutenant Colonel Morrow and Kenny. May this assignment be very good for them. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to serve this great country. We know it comes at a price, even as we remembered our veterans this Memorial Day who gave their lives for freedom. We thank you for them. Bless and protect all our men and women who are deployed away far from home, serving in harm's way. Bless the 50th Space Wing in the United States of America. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, High Frontier Honor Guard, Stellar Brass, Orbital Harmony, and Chaplain Adamson. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We are privileged to have several distinguished guests here with us today. Please hold your applause until after all have been recognized. Colonel LeCurry's wife, Amy. Colonel LeCurry's daughter, Alexa. Colonel LeCurry's son, Cadet Greg LeCurry, and Greg's girlfriend, Miss Savannah Borman. Colonel Burt's husband, Lieutenant Colonel David Morrow, and her stepson, Kenny. Colonel Burt's mother-in-law, Mrs. Ann Morrow. Lieutenant General Wally Moorhead, U.S. Air Force retired and former commander of the 50th Space Wing. Major General Roger Teague, Director, Space Programs, Office of the Assistant Secretary for Acquisition, Washington, D.C., former Deputy Commander, 50th Operations Group, and former Commander, 4th Space Operations Squadron, Schriever Air Force Base, Colorado. Brigadier General Carrie Chun, U.S. Air Force retired, former Commander of the 50th Space Wing. Ms. Annie Oatman Gardner, Pikes Peak Regional Director for Senator Michael Bennett. Mr. Lee Colburn, Defense Military Advisor to Congressman Doug Lamborn. Honorable Andreas Pico, Colorado Springs City Council District 6. Mr. Don Addy, Chairman, Colorado 30 Group. Mr. David Siegel, Executive Director, B. Vandenberg Foundation, and Honorary Commander to the Command Chief. Dr. Patrick Cullen, Superintendent, Ellicott School, District 22. We would also like to extend a warm welcome to all commanders, directors, chiefs, civic leaders, family, and friends for joining us today. A distinctive feature of military ceremonies is a formal presentation of command to the presiding officer. Colonel Slade will now present the command to Lieutenant General Raymond. Lieutenant General Raymond has deferred the inspection of the troops to Colonel LeCurry. This will be Colonel LeCurry's last official act as the commander of the 50th Space Wing. Inspection of the troops began with the restoration of Charles II to the throne of England. When one of Cromwell's regiments offered its allegiance, the king carefully scrutinized the face of each soldier in the ranks, looking for signs of treachery. Convinced of their sincerity, he accepted their escort. This tradition is carried on today as Colonel LaCory inspects the formation of the 50th Space Wing. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General Raymond.
Good afternoon. Colonel Slade, please put the formation at ease, please. So, good afternoon. Thanks for delaying this ceremony until this afternoon so I could be here. Over the last 48 hours, I've been in the rainforest jungle in South America. The last 16 hours, I've been in Martinique, Guadeloupe, Haiti, Miami, and arrived here just a few hours ago. But I appreciate you holding this and waiting for me because, one, you have to. And two, it's a privilege to be here. It's great to be back in Colorado Springs. It's always good to be back in Colorado Springs. Today's change of command ceremony is a very important step in the 50th Space Wing and the 14th Air Force, obviously. Colorado Springs is a special place. It's a special place because of the community that takes such warm care and such great care of the airmen, soldiers, sailors, Marine, Coast Guardsmen, and women that are privileged to be stationed here. And I think it's evidenced today by the great turnout that we have from our civilian distinguished visitors. I'd like to personally thank Ms. Oatman Gardner from Pikes Peak Regional Director for Senator Michael Bennett. Thank you for being here. Mr. Lee Colburn, Defense Military Advisor to Congressman Doug Lamborn, sir, thank you. Honorable Andres Pico, Colorado Springs City Council District 6. Mr. Don Addy, longtime friend, the chairman of the Colorado 30 Group. Mr. David Siegel, the executive director of the B. Brandenburg Foundation and honorary commander of the command chief. And Dr. Patrick Cullen, the superintendent of Ellicott School District 22. Thanks very much. We also have some distinguished military guests here. Lieutenant General Wally Moorhead, former 50th, my personal mentor. He paid me to say that. Sir, thanks for being here. It's always great to have you, and thanks for all that you do for us to this day. Major General Roger Teague, the Director of Space Programs. Roger, thank you very much. I know you have long ties to the 50th Space Wing. Brigadier General retired Kerry Chun, obviously a former commander of the 50th, as was General Moorhead, so I know it's neat to be back and see the wing that you led transition from one great leader to another. I'd also like to introduce Chief Patrick McMahon, our command chief from 14th Air Force and JFCC Space. Chief, thanks for being here. Today's change of command marks an extremely important day in the history of the 50th Space Wing and the 14th Air Force. Today, we formally transfer command from Colonel Bill LaCory to Col DeAnna Burt, two of the finest leaders our Air Force has to offer, and that I have been privileged to serve with. The airmen of this wing, the airmen of the 50th Space Wing, provide unmatched space capabilities to the warfighter. The range of capabilities include imagery, space situational awareness, precision navigation and timing, wideband communications, protected communications, and other pathfinder and experimental programs. The wing is also responsible for operating the Air Force Satellite Control Network and being the host wing for Schriever Air Force Base, a absolutely vitally nationally important military installation. The role of the 50th Space Wing is vital to the safety and security of the United States, and in fact, the whole world plugs into the capabilities operated by the professional airmen that you see here today. These capabilities fuel our American way of life, and they also fuel our American way of war. To the airmen of this wing, you are the best, you are the very best at what you do. and you make it look easy. I get to witness your work every day from Vandenberg. And we all know that although you make it look easy, it's not easy. And I thank you for your professionalism, for your service, for your focus on mission excellence, and our nation and our joint and coalition forces depend on you. So, Colonel Bill LaCourie has served as an outstanding leader for the 50th Space Wing. However, he didn't do it alone. And in fact, this wing was extremely lucky, because when Bill took command of the wing, they actually got something better, and that's Amy and their 3 children. And I'll tell you, their oldest son, TJ, the LaCouries were just back east in Boston, just graduated from the Berkeley School of Music with honors. I'm sure off looking for a job and couldn't be here today, but I know he's extremely proud of his dad and his family, and I know it's vice versa. Also, Greg, it's great to see you, and it's great to see you in uniform. Greg just finished up his freshman year at Metro State University. First year in ROTC as well. I think it's the first time your dad has seen you in a uniform. He's studying aviation management, wants to become a pilot. And I'll tell you, let me give you a little mentoring tip. From a 3-star to a first-year cadet, there's no better role model for you to emulate than your dad, all right? So then there's Alexa. Alexa just finished her sophomore year at Liberty High School. Alexa is a competitive gymnast, and that's an understatement. Not only is she a competitive gymnast, she is the Colorado Level 9 state champion. And in gymnastics lingo, that's like a 4-star level gymnast. So I want to thank each of you, both of you, and I know for TJ as well. I know there's a lot of times when your dad wasn't able to go to gymnastics events or hockey events or ROTC types of things. I thank you for your sacrifice. Thanks for what you've done, and thanks for your service to our country. I'm also going to break from tradition, and I'm going to escort Amy up here. I got an important announcement to make. Just this past week, the Secretary of the Air Force and the Air Force Chief of Staff selected Bill and Amy as the recipients of the General and Mrs. O'Malley Award as the best wing commander and spouse leadership team in the entire United States. That's a really big deal. That doesn't happen very often. Stay here for 1 second. I can't, don't quote me on this. Everybody go ahead and have a seat. Don't quote me on this, but I think the last time an Air Force Space Command wing leadership team won that award was General Bob Kaler, I think, if I'm not mistaken. That doesn't happen very often. Amy's led Schriever Air Force Base housing kids through 2 food drives, collected 2,000 pounds of food for local area children. She led the Schriever-Peterson 2014 clothing swap, collected and distributed thousands of clothes and toys for local airmen and their families. Amy served as a mentor for the Schriever Air Force Base Key Spouse Program, and that has more than tripled in participation in the last 2 years. When I've had the opportunity to visit this wing on a couple occasions, I would say it's the model Key Spouse Program for the Air Force. She also organized Schriever's participation in local Spouses Club holiday cookie drive and collected thousands of cookies for 24-hour work centers. Amy, on behalf of the 50th Space Wing Airmen and their families, and on behalf of Molly and I, congratulations. Thank you for all you've done, and here's a little something, something. So, Bill, you'd be the first to say that the wing's many successes over the past 2 years are attributable to the team of airmen you're privileged to lead. However, it takes strong leadership, and you've been that leader for this wing. You've led this wing through an extremely high ops tempo with cool, compassionate, and visionary leadership. Specifically, under your leadership, the 50th Space Wing has maximized operational capability of the largest military satellite constellation in the world with new satellites, new accomplishments that are directly supporting the warfighter. You executed early orbit operations and acceptance testing of 4 GPS-2F satellites, 2 geostationary space situational awareness program satellites, which I can't wait to get my hands on operationally, DMSP Flight 19, and you expanded the 50th Operations Group's capabilities from 50 satellites to now over 70 satellites. You deactivated, on the other end of the spectrum, Discus B-12 and GPS-33, paving the way for new, higher capability satellites. You dialed in 12-centimeter accuracy for GPS and supported tactical warfighting navigation requirements. You brought AEHF through the OT&E effort, and it's one of the final steps needed before we bring the AEHF constellation to full operational capability. You expanded the operationally responsive space satellite, ORS-1, from a customer of 1 COCOM to 7. You also advanced space situational awareness in a time when it's greatly needed and added space experimentation capabilities. You created within one SOPS a space-based SSA Center of Excellence. You added geostationary belt SSA capabilities with new satellites. You integrated the 3rd SES into the 50th Space Wing, now prepared to accept a wide array of getting experimental programs integrated into the 50th Space Wing. Finally, and maybe most importantly, you organized and exercised and trained to prevail in a contested space environment, which we desperately need to be able to do. It's easy to see why, under your leadership, the wing garnered both the Air Force Space Command 2014 General Robert T. Harris Award and Strategic Command's 2014 Omaha Trophy for the best space wing in the respective commands. Bill, thank you for the amazing effort that you've put forth and forward-thinking attitude you've brought to the 50th Space Wing. I will miss your leadership, and I'll miss the privilege of serving closely and commanding with you each and every day. I know the airmen of this wing hate to lose you, but you will get to do great things as the senior military assistant to the Undersecretary of the Air Force, and I can't think of a better officer to fill that role in the glass doors of the Pentagon. So as the LaCory family takes on their next adventure, I'd like to welcome back to the 50th Space Wing Col DeAnna Burt, her husband, Lieutenant Colonel Dave Morrow, and their son, Kenny. And Kenny, I will tell you, is excited to live in the big house. I'd also like to welcome Mrs. Morrow. Anna, thanks very much for being here. I know it means a lot to Colonel Burt and the family that you're here as well. Deanna, congratulations. This is a special day for you. For you, the 50th Space Wing, and the United States Air Force. We are very excited to have you back on the 14th Air Force team. You are the perfect fit and clearly the most highly qualified officer to command this important wing at this time. Colonel Burt is steeped in space operations and has been on the front line of supporting the warfighter, which is what this wing is all about. She is a distinguished graduate from the Air Force Weapons School, earning the Academic Achievement Award, and was so good that they didn't let her leave. They asked her to stay behind and be an instructor at the Air Force Weapons School. Weapons instructors course. The skills came in handy as she served as the Chief of Combat Plans at the Joint Space Operations Center, DoD's sole operational level command and control facility for all of space. She has commanded the 2nd Space Operations Squadron and the 460th Operations Group, leading both of these units to distinction. Colonel Burt is also a truly gifted strategic thinker, having graduated from the Air Command and Staff College, the School of Advanced Air and Space Studies, and National War College. Deanna, you are the perfect officer to pick up where Bill left off in this wing and lead this wing to even greater heights. This wing is lucky to have you, your passion, your operational focus, and your keen intellect. All of these will be required as you lead this wing in delivering decisive global effects for the nation and the world. This is no small task, as the space domain is more congested and contested than ever before. You and the airmen of the 50th Space Wing will need to work hard to ensure our nation can always count on the advantages provided by these nationally critical capabilities that you operate. You are up for this challenge, and I wish you and the 50th Space Wing all the best. Our nation is depending on you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Lieutenant General Raymond. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Legion of Merit to Colonel LaCory. Attention to orders. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress, July 20th, 1942, has awarded the Legion of Merit to Colonel William J. LaCory, Jr. for exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding services. Colonel William J. LaCory, Jr. distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Commander, 50th Space Wing, Air Force Space Command, Schriever Air Force Base, Colorado, from 11 July 2013 to 29 May 2015. During this period, Colonel LaCory expertly led a team of 4,200 professionals spanning 25 units and 11 time zones. His team successfully operated 69 satellites, delivering decisive global effects while obtaining historic 12-centimeter global positioning system accuracies and the first new civil navigation signals in 35 years. Under his command, the Air Force Satellite Control Network performed over 300,000 satellite vehicle contacts, attaining a 99% success rate and enabling the command and control of over 175 satellites. Colonel LaCory inspired his team in their efforts to drive the deployment of 9 satellites to create Air Force Space Command's first ever space-based situational awareness squadron, Security Forces Weapons and Tactics Section, and the 674-day mission of the X-37B reusable space vehicle. Colonel LaCory steered a $4 billion military satellite communications realignment, while at the same time executing the wing's response to the largest personnel downsizing in the history of the Air Force. His unwavering focus also led to an impressive 16 highly effective ratings, 29 strengths, 52 professional performers, and 27 professional teams in the wing's first ever Air Force Space Command Unit Effectiveness Inspection. Finally, his efforts resulted in an excellent rating on the Wing's Command Cyber Readiness Inspection and the award of the United States Strategic Command's prestigious Omaha Trophy for Global Operations. The superior initiative, outstanding leadership, and personal endeavor displayed by Colonel LaCory reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The commander of the 50th Space Wing, Colonel William J. LaCory, Jr.
I have never been more unprepared to speak to you as a group than I am right now, so bear with me. I have nothing but thank yous to say today. I could say one to each and every individual person. General Raymond would be late for a flight, and he'd fire me faster than he's going to. And so I do not mean to leave anyone out, because I could go down each and every row and say thanks for something that each of you has done while you were here. Let me start by welcoming home a group of our Air Force senior leaders. General Moorhead, welcome back. General Teague, General Chun, Chief McMahon. Colonel Ross is here somewhere in the house, I know. Welcome home. Thank you very much for joining us. It humbles Deanna and I both that you're here sharing with us. Thank you. Everybody here knows that I forget one thing at least when I come into this room, so sorry guys. To the local government leaders, This is now officially where I have lived the longest in my life. I'm an Air Force brat. I've moved around. When I got here, I said we had previously done 4 years in Colorado Springs, and we complete almost 2 years. This is where I've lived the longest. And the family loves Colorado, but the chance to engage with each of you and so many more on important issues, both for the community and for our base, and the teamwork has been unbelievable, and it truly does make this feel like home. And so I look forward to returning to Colorado someday soon. Mr. Addy, you have been a phenomenal teammate to this wing, to Air Force Base Command, but specifically for us to this wing. You have been there for us in ceremonies, in social events. I can't thank you enough. It's been a great start to a good friendship that I hope will continue for years to come, sir. Thank you very much. Next, I need to thank a few folks who are not here. General Shelton, General Helms, and General Hyten, who all offered me the opportunity and the privilege to lead this wing. There's those octaves I was talking about. If you were to look at my record, you would see I hadn't done a lot of time in Air Force Base Command, so it's a big risk to bring somebody to lead a wing of this size and this importance. They took that risk, and I am forever grateful. Next, let me talk about the definition of leadership. If you want to know what kind of boss you have, I don't actually recommend this, but it's a good way to find out. Fail a major inspection about 2 weeks after he takes the job. The kind of inspection that could get your entire base kicked off of the NIPRNet and the SIPRNet, which is, a good bit of what we do every day. I mean, what would we do if we didn't have NIPRNet to do email and EMS and TMT and all that good stuff? But in all seriousness, I met General Raymond at his change of command. We got to talk for maybe a half hour, and then I come back to the base, and we've got a significant inspection, and it didn't go well. Personally, to this day, the airmen that were working on this, not your fault. There's bigger issues out there. Proud to say, I'll fast forward for a second, the team just shouldered it and said, okay, we blew it, and next year resulted in an excellent on both of those systems. And that is a complete turnaround, and it wasn't in a year because the system at large didn't figure out what we were going to be inspected on the next year until 5 weeks before that inspection. And the team that rolled up their sleeves and got to work did exactly what I asked. I said, let's just own this. Let's turn it around, and then let's offer solutions to make it better. So now let me rewind back to a phone call that I dreaded, and I had a group commander, a squadron commander, a vice commander, and a command chief all in a room with that look like, good luck, sir. I joked. They were right there with me. None of us felt good that day. I picked up the phone, and lucky me, he's got a busy day, as he usually does, and I told him, I said, sir, we just finished. It didn't go well. We've got some things that we'll take a look at. Kind of our fault. We'll take a look at it and fix it, but I need to let you know, and then the next phone call I need to make is to General Shelton. And he said, okay, I have an award ceremony I don't know if you remember this phone call, sir, but he says, I have an award that I need to go hand out. Go ahead and start typing up an email to General Shelton, let him know how it played out, and then we'll go from there. And so we start typing, and we delete, and we edit, and we start typing. And he calls me back. I mean, literally, it was about 15 minutes later. Hey, did you send that email yet? And I'm like, oh, man, I'm failing already. No, sir, I didn't. We're real close, though. And he says, no, I don't want you to send it yet. He says, let me call the boss and talk to him and tell him what happened. So that was a huge weight off of a lot of shoulders. But it wasn't that anybody turned off the responsibility, but to make that phone call and to say, hey, we'll fix it on the next go-round was pretty impressive. It spoke volumes about what we came to know in the time that we've been working together, and so I can't thank you enough. It has been an absolute privilege to work under your leadership, and I hope to get to do it again sometime. Thank you very much. I've got a bunch of close friends that I am not going to go into too much detail because I will get higher and higher octaves, but you know who you are. Thank you very much for being here. I've got a group of peers that's here. I'm going to do this by quickly catching faces. Damon Feltman, a partner on the base, 310 Space Wing. Absolutely phenomenal. We can't do our mission without you guys. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with you over the last year. I've got some peer wing commanders, an Air Force Base Command, and one that used to be and has moved on over to another organization. Dan Wright, John Wagner, John Shaw, General Select John Shaw. One of the bummers about my assignment moving faster is that I will not get to celebrate you putting on that star, but it is very, very well deserved. Congratulations to you and Tanya. And I'll make this fast because he wants to get to a plane, and you're in trouble because there's household goods being packed, as I recall, and you're here. So thank you for being here. Carolyn John Benishek, thank you very much for being here. Old friends from way back and friends on the base and here in the city, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here. Okay, so I keep skipping over a certain portion here. Oh, boy. Let me talk to Colonel Steve Slade. Until you got here, I didn't know what an IMA was and what an IMA could do for me. You have been absolutely phenomenal. We don't see each other every day. We don't see each other every week. But the cool part is from day one when you got here, I could say, hey, I'm going to this and I can't cover that. Can you do that? And off you went, and every single time, perfection. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to serve with you, and I hope we get to do it again. To the 4 horsemen. That's what I like to call the 3 group commanders and a director of staff. Dan McGivney and I go back to Pentagon days. That was a long 1 year for me, but he doesn't let me complain too much because it was a long 3 years for him. Dan, it has been absolutely phenomenal to serve with you again. What you have done since you came over to I'm going to talk about the director of staff. Dan's done other jobs on the base, but I asked him to do several things when he got here, and I said they were critical to our success as a wing. Every single one of them he did with a passion, and anybody that's on the wing staff knows exactly what I'm talking about. That team is more unified than they ever have been. We are recognizing the great work that they do and the critical role that they play in our mission, thanks to Dan and what he's done. Thank you very much. Brian Barthel. Brian and I got here about 1 week apart. We shared some time at the Pentagon together. He reached out to me when he saw our names on the same list and said, hey, we should get together for lunch or dinner. We had them over for dinner. The family is here as well. We had them over for dinner, and I think we went good 3-4 hours, and I felt like I had done 1,000 crunches. When they left and got in their car, I looked at Amy and I said, this is going to be a lot of fun. And everybody in the MSG and everybody on this base, and I think half the people in this city know exactly what I'm talking about. If Brian is in the room, you know it. But that's not really what I want to talk about. I need to do some light humor here and there because it's what helps me cope with this difficult discussion. But Brian's in charge of the mission support group, for those that don't know. If you ask me, it's the mission operations support group, because there is not a support group in the United States Air Force that understands the operational mission of their wing better than every single one of the airmen under Brian's charge. And the other bummer of doing this change of command early is that I will not get to officiate his ceremony to say thanks, so I'm going to take a little extra time to do it here. It doesn't matter what I brought up. Before I finished talking, the answer was yes. The answer was we'll figure it out. This base is in a unique spot geographically. Many of you that have been here or lived here know it. Those of you that drove out here now know it. There's not a lot between here and Colorado Springs. Those of you that worked in Washington, D.C. know the 9 miles isn't really that bad. But after you've been here a while, it is a little barren. And so quality of life is absolutely critical to our mission here. And that's what the MSG brings. They bring quality of life. They bring force protection, which these days has become even more critical. They bring fire protection, they bring civil engineering, they bring logistics, they bring contracting. We don't do our job here without the contractor force we have, and that support group has done phenomenal. And they have a rally cry that is, without support, mission abort. I know that was weak, but that's because what I really wanted to say today is absolute, total support, never abort. Thank you. Dennis and Jason, I'm going to talk to you guys together. They got here together. They went through command training together. They had big shoes to fill. We had 2 phenomenal leaders that I had the privilege of working with for my first year. John and Tommy have left. They got to leave just before an inspection. So these guys roll in, and we got an inspection right around the corner. When you talk about 69 satellites, 300,000 supports on a network, you talk about a previously failed inspection, all of those types of things, they had a lot of load to bear. They immediately jumped right in. They partnered immediately. I have never seen a partnership as close as the 4 individuals at the front of that formation there. Dennis, you and the team are doing phenomenal things, adding satellites every single day. But more importantly, it's not about the number of satellites, it's about the effects that we're delivering around the world. And you guys are doing it day in and day out. Every single day, somebody is counting on you. There are people counting on you right now. And your crews in there that maybe are able to watch, probably not. Most of them are watching telemetry and sending commands to satellites, are doing phenomenal work. Where this wing has come since I was a lieutenant, thinking I knew satellite operations, to now is phenomenal. Thank you for your leadership. Jason, you are in charge of an incredible array of critical infrastructure. None of our mission happens without what your team does. Jason and I have a running dialogue about who has the best job in the Air Force. He thinks it's him, and I'll let him think that. And as long as he's motivated and passionate about it, I'm going to let him keep thinking that. Well, I'll leave it there. Road upstream is how I would describe it, against a system that is not designed yet the way it needs to be for protecting our networks. You and the team crossed the board in the NOG, said, we're going to figure this out. And by God, you did. Every single one of you in the NOG, there are people from other bases who came over to help us. There are folks that came from the ops group and the support group and the wing staff to help out, to pass that inspection, and it was with flying colors. It would not have happened without your leadership and the leadership of your squadron commanders. 300,000 supports is absolutely eye-watering, but it pales in comparison to the smaller number that comes after it, 99% success. None of the effects come off those satellites without what you guys do day in and day out. I would dare say that of those 4, nobody has pushed me further to make improvements than Jason. He is passionate like you cannot believe, and this is not a knock against the other 3. It is a comment to Jason's passion for what he does, and he knows the criticality of it. Thank you for pushing me. Thank you for pushing your team, and thank you for what you do every single day. You guys are going to do phenomenal. You're going to bring another partner on, the mission support group. You're going to bring another director of staff, and you're going to welcome a new commander. And so let me transition there for a second. For all of you in this wing, regardless of what you're thinking today about what you have to do next, about me leaving, about new people coming in, I can tell you there is without a doubt no one more prepared and no one better postured to come and pick up the mantle of leadership. And she knows as well as I do, kind of get out of your way and let you do your things. And when you have an obstacle in your way, I guarantee you she'll do even better knocking it down than I did. You are blessed to be getting her. Colonel Morrow, welcome to the team. Congratulations early on your change of command that'll be coming up here soon. You're going to be a great team on this base. Absolutely phenomenal. Kenny, how's the house treating you, bud? We had them over for dinner, and Kenny showed up with a tape measure and a piece of paper because, Kenny, it's only because this is what I was like as a kid, but I'm a kindred spirit with you. He said, show me that room. And so he got it out, and he's measuring with the tape measure, and this is where this is going to go. Absolutely phenomenal. Kenny, enjoy that house. It's yours. It's not mom and dad's. It's yours. You have the run of it. You got one wing to the other. Have a lot of fun, bud. Okay? Mrs. Morrow, thank you for joining us as well. This is a phenomenal team, and this base is in great luck for having you. Okay, so a couple thank yous I have forgotten. Thank you to, well, as a matter of fact, if there's anybody sitting right now that had a hand in planning this ceremony, could you please stand up? And for those of you on the wall, okay, at least you're standing. I won't make you do any more. Round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. These events don't happen without an unbelievable amount of support that has gone on. I'm going to throw out another thanks for an individual I guarantee you 95% of you do not know, and probably more than that. His name's David Cunningham. He wears a green shirt and says PCSI on it. He's in charge of those grounds crews that have been out there for 2 days with the hope that we would be able to do this outside and make sure this base looked the way it does. And so When you see David out there with a hedge trimmer or a leaf blower or whatever it is, walk up to him and say thanks for what he's doing, because he and his team are doing a phenomenal job. And the only bummer about being in here is you don't get to see the work they did, but they do it day in and day out. The custodial staff, Robert and the team, they do a phenomenal job. So when you see them, walk up and say thanks, because they make this base beautiful. And the last people, actually two, that I want to thank are everybody that has served in my front office. I'm not going to name names, but I can see you all out there, because if I name names, I'm going to start stories, and I'm going to go into a higher octave that is not going to work for me or any of you. There is no way a wing commander can do the job they need to do without having a good-sized front office staff that points you in the right direction when you're running around like, where do I go next? It's been phenomenal. It has been an absolute pleasure to serve with you. I know some are still in the office. Marianne, if you're on the DCO, thank you. I do want to call one out. My partner in crime for the last almost 2 years, Chief Master Sergeant Levon Coles. I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you very much. It was a privilege to get to go to your retirement, although I was hoping to kick you to the west to serve with General Raymond, but there is no doubt in my mind that what you and Erica and the family do next is going to make this city better, or wherever you decide to settle. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, it has been an amazing ride. Chief Bentavania, I told him before we came in the ceremony, he and I have overlapped for 2 months in the Air Force. 1 month as I was outbound as a squadron commander, and now 1 month as I was outbound as a wing commander. I look forward to overlapping for a more significant amount of time the next time we cross paths. But that team that is right there, you are in great hands, and you are going to go farther, and you're going to go higher and faster than you have already. You're in great hands. Congratulations to both of you. Okay, the last group that everybody thinks I'm going to forget, and I just paused for a little bit. There's a group over here that reminded me too, so is my family. Because that's the other group of people that you can't do this job without. There are long hours, but the secret is they don't feel long when you're here, because it has been the time of my life. There is no doubt in my mind this is the greatest job I will ever have. It's because of all of you. But I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have poured that into this without their support. Oh, this is going to be tricky. So yes, Greg is at least as far as I've seen in his uniform for the very first time. He decided mid-freshman year that he wanted to do something different, and he surprised the living daylights out of us and said, hey, I want to do this ROTC thing, and I want to go try to be a pilot. I can't tell you how proud I am. Not because you decided to wear the uniform, but because of the man you've become. Thank you very much. TJ, I think if he's successful in getting his iMac loaded up, is watching in Boston. TJ, it seems like just yesterday your mom and I, well, let's see, I can tell this story too, because this will help me come down an octave. So Amy was pregnant when we were here the last time. I'm in 3 stops, and a couple days there, oh, this is going to be the day, and no, it wasn't, and no, this is going to be the day, and no, it wasn't. So we woke up one morning, she said, this is, there's contractions, this is going to be the day. I was like, all right, I'll tell you what. I'm going to head out. Now, remind you, there's no base housing back then, so I'm living in town. So I said, I'm going to head out to Falcon. I still got the pager, and you know the phone number. Call me if it really happens. I get there, and I think I have my butt in the seat about 5 seconds, and it is now, get back. And so now I got to scream back down I-94, all within the speed limit, to get back to the house, to get there, to go to the Air Force Academy where TJ was born. It seems like just yesterday, but a couple weeks ago, we had the privilege of watching him walk across the stage for a second time as he graduated from the Berklee College of Music. He was their Music Education Student of the Year, which was pretty cool, and he is now looking for a job actively. We're going to get to see him here soon. TJ, thank you for everything. I'm incredibly proud of the man that you become as well. Alexa, my princess, I'm going to keep talking faster so that I don't do this any worse. I can't tell you how proud I am of everything you accomplish. We talk about gymnastics a lot. She just got inducted in the National Honor Society. She's a phenomenal student. But the best part is she's an unbelievable human being, and I can't say thanks enough, Lex. I really, really appreciate it, and I love you more than I ever say. And the last one, if I walk away, nobody will hear it. Amy came into the Air Force with me for a 4-year experiment. I said, hey, we're going to do this for 4 years. I have to pay back my ROTC scholarship. I thought for sure I was going to program computers, and boy, this experiment has lasted a lot longer, huh, hun? But the coolest part to me is she's a physical therapist. She's a phenomenal physical therapist. There are people on this base who have gotten to feel a whole lot better because of her physical therapy. And she has wanted to work every single place we have ever been, with the exception of Germany. There's a slight language barrier there. But she has. And neither one of us knew what this 2 years was going to bring, to be able to work and to be able to do some of the stuff. She just fit in what she could do, and pretty cool. And I've had several awards over the 24 years. None of them matter as much to me as what General Raymond just talked about. I'm so proud of you, and I couldn't have done this without you. All right, with that, I need to make sure General Raymond makes a flight. I'm going to close with what I said a few days ago. Thank you to each and every one of you that is here in this wing, whether you're in this room, whether you're out at one of our GSUs, on the net, whether you watch this later, whether you're on the crew floor, whether you're on vacation. Thank you. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve with you, and I mean it when I say it. There is no job that I will ever have that is as great a privilege as this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel LaCory. The change of command ceremony is a unique, time-honored military tradition in which the subordinate members of the command witness the transfer of total responsibility, authority, and accountability from one officer to another. One of the oldest military traditions is the passing of a unit flag symbolizing the transfer of authority from the outgoing commander to the incoming commander. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the change of command ceremony. Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, 14th Air Force, Air Force Base Command, Special Order Number Golf Sierra 1503, under the provisions of Air Force Instruction 51604 and effective date 29 May 2015, Colonel William J. LaCory, Jr. relinquishes command of the 50th Space Wing, Schriever Air Force Base, Colorado. Department of the Air Force, 14th Air Force, Air Force Base Command, Special Order Number Golf Sierra 1503, under the provisions of Air Force Instruction 51604 and effective date 29 May 2015, Col DeAnna M. Burt assumes command of the 50th Space Wing, Schriever Air Force Base, Colorado. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce the commander of the 50th Space Wing, Col DeAnna M. Burt.
Thank you.
Colonel Slade, could you please put the wing at ease? General Raymond, distinguished visitors, local civic leaders, commanders, chiefs, friends, family, and the men and women of Team 5-0. Thanks for being here today. This is a big day for Dave and I, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to be here with us. It's really an important day, and it's awesome to share it back with being at home at Team Schriever. I have a sign in my bathroom that I look at every morning to get me pumped, and it says, "Today is going to be awesome." Well, no doubt, today is absolutely awesome. I am humbled at the responsibility while at the same time incredibly excited about what I'm getting ready to do and the opportunity to command at the wing level. And not just any wing. As I said, this is coming home for me. This is my third assignment here at Schriever, and it's just great to be here. So it was with great honor and pride that I return to serve for and with all of you. Now, as anyone would tell you, no one gets here by themselves, and in my case, with a whole lot of help. I can remember the young lieutenant who showed up here in 1995 working in what was the Space Warfare Center as a space support team member at what was Falcon Air Force Base. And I look at that lieutenant now and think, whew, I'm sure John Moorhead's like, I can't believe you're standing there. Trust me, it's an eye-opener, but it's been an awesome journey, and it's good to be back. General Raymond, thank you for your trust and confidence in giving me this opportunity. I know the gravity and the responsibility of the position I'm about to take on, and I thank you, because I know it means a lot. I promise you, sir, I will not let you down. Dave and I look forward to returning and joining you and Molly as part of the 14th Air Force team. Next, I'd like to thank Dave, Lieutenant Colonel David Morrow. Dave, you're my best friend and the love of my life, and I couldn't do this without you. So thanks for always being there and supporting me. It's been a tough road. Dave and I didn't get married. We got married in the middle of my middle of squadron command while I was here as TUSOPs. So Dave and I have worked together as a team through 3 commands now, and I want to just say thank you for being there, and I love you, babe. Next, I'd like to thank the second most important man in my life, and that's Kenny. Kenny, you're such a joy to be around, and I am so proud of you, buddy. You always keep me grounded and remind me of what's important in life, so thank you. And I know the long hours are tough. When I come home, he really gets me focused. What's for dinner? So thank you, Kenny. I love you, buddy, and I hope you enjoy the house and the journey we're going to have over the next 2 years. I'd also like to thank my mother-in-law for being here, Ann. Thanks for traveling across country from Tennessee to be here with Dave and I today. It means a lot to us. You've adopted me into your family. You've been a second mom to me. So thanks so much for being here. It means a lot to have you here today. As I said, no one gets here by themselves. There's a lot of commanders, supervisors, peers, subordinates, and friends along the way who have pushed, prodded, kicked, dragged, cheered, and just picked me up over the years. I could thank so many people. There are so many, and with the interest of time, I won't try to thank all of them, but there are three groups in particular I want to thank. The first 2 are Lieutenant General Retired Wally Moorhead and Brigadier General Retired Kerry Chun. Sir, I worked for you here as a new lieutenant, new first lieutenant, brand new captain. When I came on, we changed from Falcon to Schriever. You had been dual-hatted as the Space Warfare Center commander as well as the 50th Space Wing commander right before I became your exec, and then we got to keep you all to ourselves in the Space Warfare Center. You really showed me what it meant to be a senior leader and a wing commander. You've also been a second dad to me and been here for all of the major events in my life, and I thank you for that. So thanks for setting an example that I aspire to be to. For General Chun, he had the harder job. I came back as a squadron commander and got to work under his command. And he really was like any commander I've worked for. He gave me just enough rope that I could lean out, but he didn't let me hang myself, which was really important because I was very prone to doing that. So sir, thanks. Thanks for your guidance, mentorship, and your friendship. You've been great, giving me a lot of feedback as I came into this job, and I appreciate your time. I also had the privilege as an ops group commander to serve for 3 distinct wing commanders. Not because of anything they did wrong, it was because I suck and I got to stay longer as a group commander. Colonel Dan Wright, who selected me to be the 460th Ops Group Commander, Colonel Dan Dant, who selected me to be the 460th Ops Group Commander, Colonel Dan Wright, who's here with us today, and Colonel John Wagner. Each of these guys were instrumental, I think, in getting me here today because they all let me kind of see behind the wing commander curtain, if you will. They let me see inside the decision loop how they made choices and the things that make a wing run. And as an ops group commander, that really helped broaden my perspective to an enterprise wing view rather than just being stovepiped within my own group. So thank you, gentlemen. Dan and Wags, thanks for being here today. I appreciate it, and I look forward to working with both of you. I'd also like just to echo Colonel LaCorey's comments to thank Ms. Jerry Satterfield, Master Sergeant Adam McNeil, and Master Sergeant Heather Abney for their great work today with their change of command team. I put on a few of these myself in younger days, and it is not an easy feat. And you guys made it look really easy and are a true professional team, so thank you very much. I'd also like to thank one of my good friends, Colonel Rob Provost. You're going to meet Chef Rob out back here in a minute when we go to the post-reception. The food is going to be outstanding. So I'd like to thank him and the Flyboys Catering for being here today to help us with the post-reception. Last but certainly not least, to the men and women of Team 5-0. You are an outstanding organization, and that's no surprise based on the leadership I've seen over the last few weeks. And that goes all the way to the top with your former wing commander. Bill, you are a great friend and leader. You and Amy have done an amazing job prepping Dave and I for this adventure. I appreciate your openness and transparency and your willingness and access to your team so that we could get ready for this great transition. So thank you so much. We wish you the best in DC. Know that the door is always open, and anytime you want to come back to Team Schriever, you always have a place to stay, and we look forward to seeing you. In closing, the 50th Space Wing has a lot to be proud of, so revel in your success. You've earned it. However, recognize we still have a lot of work to do. Our enemies never rest. Therefore, we never rest. Over the next 2 years, we will continue today's fight, providing the 24/7 flawless operations that you provide day in and day out with game-changing effects to the warfighters downrange. We also need to prepare for tomorrow as we begin to execute the stand-up of the Space Mission Force, space training transformation, and continue to work our warfighting skills, tactics, techniques, and procedures, as the General said, to fight in a contested and congested environment, not only in the space business, but in the NOG and our cyber business as well. And finally, we do all this while continuing to improve our installation and the services we provide day in and day out to take care of our airmen and their families. The coming years will be challenging, but I have full faith and confidence that we will be successful. My pledge to you is that I will be right there with you, shoulder to shoulder, sleeves rolled up, working hard with you. I am honored to be your commander, and it's great to be back home at Schriever. It is an honor and a pleasure to serve for and with you for the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Burt. The men and women of the 50th Space Wing are honored to have served with Colonel LaCorey and wish him and his family good luck and Godspeed in their future endeavors. The wing would like to take this opportunity to thank Mrs. LaCorey for the sacrifices she has made as Colonel LaCorey has served as our commander. The men and women of the 50th Space Wing welcome Colonel Burt and her family as Colonel Burt assumes her duties as commander of the 50th Space Wing. The wing would like to welcome Lieutenant Colonel Dave Morrow to the Schriever team. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our change of command ceremony. You are all cordially invited to the reception welcoming Colonel Burt and her family in the T-135, the building next door directly west of the gym. We ask that you allow time for our distinguished visitors to make their way to the front of the reception line. Thank you for attending today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party.